Going on, everybody? Listen, I didn't get a chance to do this earlier. I wanted to wait and kind of see what was going to happen with Raw and NXT before I did anything else because I wasn't even sure I wanted to talk about WrestleMania after the second night. By now, you all know what's happened. We're just going to run through the matches real fast. I'm going to give you my opinion on the match itself and read off, what the results really were. We'll do this real quick, and hopefully, I can get another video out this week because I really would like to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on with WWE. All right, first match of night one, U.S. Championship match. Austin Theory defeats John Cena in what was an excellent match. In the end, I would have rather seen Austin Theory go over clean, but he uses a low blow after a ref bump. It is nice to see him get a big win because, honestly, I believe this is his biggest win of his career. He needs to move forward into another program, possibly against Seth Rollins, and maybe give him another big win. But he's having a great run as U.S. champ, and he's really showing why Vince McMahon thinks he can be the next real big star for him. And it is good to see him getting these wins. The right decision there. Now, the Street Profits win in the men's tag team showcase. I don't really want to go too much into this. There wasn't anything on the line. This was more of just getting guys work on the show, which is good. I'd like seeing guys have more and more work. But the right guys go over here. You could argue someone else. I don't think the Viking Raiders need it, but Street Profits are the future, whether people really see that or not. They should be future undisputed tag team champions. I also think at some point you split them up, and I think Dawkins and Ford should both be singles champs. They are both good enough, and they both have excellent charisma, great mic skills, put on a good show, know how to wrestle well, and the crowd loves them. They are what you would call in baseball a five-tool player. Both of them are. So your winners here, Street Profits. Good to see them making the right decisions. Now, next you have one of the matches that I think everybody was kind of looking forward to, mostly because a lot of people dislike Logan Paul, which I can understand. I'm not a huge fan either. Really, I think this could have stolen the show. This is one of a few matches in the weekend that could have stolen the show. Seth Rollins, as always, looks great. Logan Paul, he's going for it. I can't fault the guy. I can't knock him. He's been very good in all the matches he's been in. He's shown that he really cares about putting on a good performance. Not excellent on the mic yet, but he doesn't really need to be because he's that guy that everybody hates. Didn't really like that he tried to copy, sort of, Shawn Michaels' entrance from WrestleMania when he came down off the roof. Uh, Mostly because I don't think Logan Paul could even come close to lacing Shawn Michaels' boots. Um, it was kind of interesting, but I think it was just it didn't look great. I was very happy to see Seth stomp him into the ground, though. That makes me happy. Great match. If you get the chance, this is one that you shouldn't miss. This is absolutely one you should see. Your winner, Seth freaking Rollins, and let's see where he goes from here. Now, women's through 6-woman tag. I thought they should have saved the championships for this match instead of doing them during the week. I get it. You were trying to give everybody something during the week, but this is where you should have flipped it. The 6-woman tag should have been, during SmackDown. They should have had the tag team championships branch off of that, saying, "Hey, we beat you here. Let's do a tag team match." Either way, I think it would have been better having the women's tag championships change hands at WrestleMania and not beforehand, but it's just my opinion. But in the end, a very good match. Let's be honest. It was a very good match. There were a couple slips here and there. They tried to do a couple things in this match that weren't pulled off well. You could tell they were a little uncomfortable here and there. Probably a little too sweaty to try some of them. Nobody get hurt. And in my eyes, the wrong team went over. I think Damage Control should have gotten the win after losing the championships the night before. But either way, good match, and I'm happy to see all of them working. That really is what matters to me. In the end, it's nice to see them getting to work with two Hall of Famers, which I believe that makes them very happy. This is a match I thought should have gone the other way, only because you have a very young wrestler in Dominic Mysterio. He should have won this feud because Judgment Day is floundering. Let's be honest. Damian Priest didn't have a match. 2 of the 3 over the weekend lost their matches. Thankfully, Rhea Ripley salvaged the weekend for them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Ray not only made Dominic look like a fool by spanking him with his belt, but he also made him look like a fool because at no time in this match was I thinking, man, Dominic is really dominating. He had moments where he looked real good, and then Ray would come back and do what Ray has always done, and being the biggest little man in the business. And in the end, they give Ray the win, which I can understand it, giving him the Hall of Fame induction and then giving him the win over Dominic. But I think Dominic should have gone over here. It would have helped Judgment Day tremendously. But in the end, your winner, Rey Mysterio, in a very, very good match. Women's Championship, I should say SmackDown Championship match. One of the best nights, one of the best matches of the weekend on night one. Rhea looked excellent. No surprise there. Charlotte, as always, does what she does. I am not a huge fan of either of them, as a disclaimer. I think Charlotte is boring, and I'm kind of tired of Rhea, as I probably shouldn't be, but I think her overexposure with Judgment Day right now is kind of wearing on me. And having her be, quote unquote, the muscle. Not that it hasn't been done before. China did it years ago with DX. She was the muscle, but this day and age, we all know what we know. Wrestling is, predetermined. It's a storyline. It's a soap opera, and essentially seeing a woman be the muscle, even as big as Rhea is, I just don't buy it. And I think it's difficult for a lot of people to uh, kind of stay in that world and not be taken out of the story when they see that and see her stand up to somebody the size of a Bobby Lashley, or even somebody the size of Edge, because, you know, not to insult Rhea, but she wouldn't stand up. If you're talking about throwing punches, I think we all know what's going to happen, and it's not to be sexist, that, but it kind of takes me out of that headspace. Damian Priest should be the muscle of the group. Not that Rhea can't do it, but it just, in my eyes, doesn't make sense. You can call me what you want, but it's just my opinion. In the end, the right person goes over. It helps Judgment Day, because Judgment Day, for all the crap they talk, had no championships. And seeing Rhea carry that around is going to give them some legitimacy moving forward and give them some more time to maybe get another title. They really should, at some point, get another title. I believe they should get the U.S. Championship. That way Austin Theory can move forward into something else. But I'm not a fan of seeing groups talk about how great they are and then never winning a championship. So this makes perfect sense. And it was time. Charlotte needed to lose it, because Charlotte wears out her welcome after a while. And she doesn't play a face very well. She's a better heel. She really is. So maybe now she can move into being a heel more than a face, because she's been trying to be a tweener here. She's a better heel. And we all know that. Your winner, Rhea Ripley, in a very good match. This was one of those impromptu Miz saying that he put out a challenge over Instagram, and he named off every social media company he could think of at the time, and I'm sure he got paid by all of them, saying that nobody wanted to challenge him, and out comes Pat McAfee, which was great to see. I do like Pat McAfee, but I'm not a huge fan of seeing him wrestle all the time. He doesn't wrestle all the time, but when he does, I think it should be a special thing. This, to me, was not that special. Everybody beats The Miz anymore. They really do. And I enjoy The Miz. Great talker. The man is safe to work in the ring, and he does a great job, building stories and everything. This, to me, is disrespectful. To have him lose an impromptu match while he's in a suit against a guy who has wrestled 5 times in his career, maybe. I'm not exactly sure. And Patty hasn't even been in the ring since SummerSlam, maybe, I think it was the last time. Hadn't even been on commentary, because he's out, doing his show. So I think it was a little disrespectful. I do enjoy Pat McAfee. It was nice to see him back. But in the end, Miz loses an impromptu match that meant nothing and really didn't matter. To cap off night one, I'm going to make a quick comment. I'm not sure how many people it's actually going to piss off, and I'm sorry if it pisses you off. It's just my opinion. The main event of any show WWE puts on, or AEW puts on, or take your pick of anything, the main event is the last match of that event. You cannot tell me, oh, well, it's the last match of night one. No. WrestleMania encompasses a whole weekend. The end of WrestleMania is the last match on Sunday night. This was not the main event. You want to call it a co-main event? I can understand that. But it isn't the main event. You can't say main event of night one. That's not what it is. It is the end of night one. And then they continue it into night two. So that little diatribe out of the way, you finally see part of this story coming to fruition, ending the proper way at the proper time. KO and Sammy and the almost, I'm not sure if it almost or is 2 year reign of Jimmy and Jay Uso, who have been very good in this title reign, let's be honest, because they have so destroyed the tag division, not Jimmy and Jay, essentially, Vince McMahon. He doesn't care about tag team wrestling. Thankfully, Triple H does, and he cares about good wrestlers. So for the last year, the tag team division has gotten much better. They've had better teams who have had not exactly long or better storylines, but they've been better put together. They've taken actual teams who are teams and had them contend. And Jimmy and Jay have actually had very good matches with all of these teams. It's a shame that New Day has been, so injured. Regardless of who, we know Big E's out with a neck injury, and we know the Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston kind of have back to back had smaller injuries and been out. So you missed what could have been another excellent, tag team match with New Day and Usos, because they've had some bangers in the past. But in the end, Sammy and KO get revenge, and it had to feel good. I loved watching this match because seeing the fan reaction tells you all you need to know about the decision. Your winners, new undisputed tag team champions, KO and Sami Zayn. And I'm sure we'll see a rematch down the road. All right, we're going to move into night two here. So, night two started off with a bang. They highlighted Bobby Lashley's win in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal the night before, or I apologize, not the night before, 2 nights before on Friday Night SmackDown. I do not like that they moved that to SmackDown because it doesn't really showcase anything. Bobby Lashley missed out on having a match because Bray Wyatt's been sick. I don't even know what the sickness is, or maybe it's something else going on with him. But I feel bad for Bobby Lashley because he missed out on being on one, the biggest show of the year. Happy to see him get the win. Now they can move him into something else. I still think he should end up being the champion at some point within the next year and a half again, because anybody that was champion during the COVID era and the what was that called, the Thunderdome era, they should get a shot at being champions with a real crowd. This makes no sense to me to not give them a chance because it wasn't even a real championship run. You're doing it in front of no one, so you have no idea how the crowd would have reacted. So they bring Bobby out. Good to see him. First match of the night, Brock Lesnar versus Omos. I really thought they'd put Omos over in this. If no other reason, then you got a guy who is very young in his career against a guy who does not need championships or wins. You know how dangerous he is. Brock Lesnar could lose twice a month without a win for an entire year, and then you could put him in a championship match, and everybody would believe he could win that match. He doesn't need the wins. Almost did need the win, and I thought this went the wrong way. They should have had Omos either get disqualified or they should have had Brock get disqualified. There should not have been a pinfall in this match, but in the end, they had Brock pin Omos, and to me, made him look like chump. Not that you ever look like a chump losing to Brock, but he has been made out to be a monster that Brock can't touch. And if they had done that, if they had Brock cheat, hit him with a chair and get disqualified or something, it would have shown that Omos is the guy moving forward, and it should have been. It's a shame it's not. Your winner, F5, pinfall, Brock Lesnar. Now, the women's showcase, it was good, not great. I enjoyed some of the stuff I saw. You could see a little bit of hesitation to try certain moves. It looked like they were a little off timed. It always does in these matches when you have too many people. The women specifically, only because they don't get the chance to work together as much as the men do. That's not their fault. In the end, the correct team won. Ronda and Shayna need to win. Those two need to have the next shot at the tag team titles in the women's division, and they shouldn't lose. I'm not a big fan of Ronda Rousey. I used to be years ago. I think she's overhyped and overplayed at this point, but I love Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna Baszler has proven that she should be a champ as well, and I would love to see her as a champ going forward. So I think they're going to move into title contention, and you're going to have the women's champions right now, Becky Lynch and Lita, being a stopgap to Ronda and Shayna. So I think that'll happen within the next month or two, but we'll see where it goes from here. Now, moving on, this is one of the matches that stole the weekend. Intercontinental Championship match. You had Gunther defending against both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus after they couldn't decide a winner over a couple of weeks, which is good because you give all three of them who should be in a match together a great match. These guys threw some heavy-handed chops. Everybody that watches knows Gunther loves to throw chops, especially if you're watching in NXT. He is a monster, but at the same time, looks like a normal-sized guy. I talked to my buddy Vince about this quite a few times. I don't know how he does it. He not only pulls off being a monster, but he pulls off being a guy that can be beaten at any time. It's kind of an amazing, you know, way to look at him because I think he's only like 6'4". He's not huge. And I mean the shape he's in now is incredible. He got into great shape within, from the time he ended his run in NXT to the first 3 months in on the main roster. His shape has completely changed. His diet must have completely changed, and his workout routine must have completely changed because he looks excellent. But you had a three-way championship between guys who are, not only veterans but are still ass kickers. Let's be honest. And this really could have gone anyway, but the right decision was keeping it on Gunther, giving him a solid win over two, former WWE champions and or Universal champions, and having him look like $1,000,000. And they did that. Kudos to them. Correct decision. Happy to see Gunther retain here. Move into the Raw Women's Championship match. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying Asuka is my favorite female wrestler. She has been since I first saw her. She's unique, an excellent wrestler. She works very hard. She's extremely intelligent. She plays her part beautifully. I watching her in NXT was a real joy, and then seeing her in that whole story where she was never beaten in NXT, only to feed her to Charlotte a year later on the main roster, to me was stupid. But in my eyes, the right move here was either having Bianca get herself disqualified. That way you could keep this story going a little longer, or have Asuka win either by pinfall and take the title or by disqualification. The ending looked a little off. Asuka missed with the mist, and then they looked like they didn't know where to go for a half a second there. But they got it together. It was back and forth, couple misses, couple connections, and Bianca ends up winning with the KOD. Happy to see that Bianca retains the title because I do like her. But in my eyes, I think Asuka should have been the winner here, either by DQ or by pinfall to win the championship. I think you could have told a better story because Bianca, in my eyes, is better in the chase than in the championship role. And Asuka's the reverse in my eyes. She's a better champ than she is a chaser. Next match were, two impromptu matches, again with The Miz. Look, I'm going to roll my eyes at this a few times probably. Shane McMahon comes back, which I'm always happy to see Shane McMahon when he comes back. He's great in small doses. He really is. Having him wrestle someone who just got beat the night before, to me, kind of sucks because you knew Shane was going to win or he was going to lose it in a quirky way. But he ends up getting hurt, which is good because I would have hated to see Miz lose two in a row here. So they give the win to The Miz because of injury, which is really not a win because Miz didn't injure him. Shane had a freak accident in the ring, looked like he blew his knee out or his calf or something. And then out of nowhere, they had Snoop come in and give him the worst looking right hand I've ever seen in my life, completely missed. He looked like he'd never thrown in a punch in his life, and have him pin him off of one punch. Terrible. Terrible decision. So The Miz essentially loses 3 matches in one weekend, in 2 nights. Awful decision there. And then you get what I thought was going to be the single best match of the weekend. Brood Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match. I love Hell in a Cell matches. This is definitely a feud that qualified as needing Hell in a Cell. Great match, wrong decision. Judgment Day was 1-1 in the weekend where they should have been 2-0 to come into this as your rubber match, ostensibly, and they lose it in, I almost want to say, spectacular fashion. It is beyond me why you would give a win to a guy who does not need it, take it from a guy who does need it, and a group that needs it, who has been a focus for the last at least half a year with wrestlers that are still young in their WWE careers, some that are just young that could benefit from a bunch of wins. I honestly believe off the back of this, you could have moved Finn Balor into contention against either Austin Theory or Gunther, but you didn't. You gave the win to Edge, and to me, it was nonsensical. I don't know if this was a way of making up for all the matches that Edge had lost against Judgment Day previous, and also lost against Roman. Maybe this was the makeup, but to me, it's the wrong decision. Edge doesn't have a lot of time left. He's not your future; he's your past. Balor probably still has at least another 10 to 15 years wrestling. He's your future, regardless of the age he is. I think he's in his mid 30s, but he's still your future, along with Dom and Rhea and Damian Priest. This makes no sense. So, in a great match, they give Edge the win. This is going to disappoint me for a while because I do love Finn Balor. The man is excellent. And having him lose as the Demon, I believe this is his third loss as the Demon, it's not special anymore. It isn't special. I understood having the Demon lose against Brock Lesnar. Brock's a big man. He was champ for a long time. Same thing with Roman Reigns. He loses against Roman Reigns in a funky way, whatever happened to him when the turnbuckle fell and he got hurt. You take these wins off of this guy who was special and now, not so special. Doesn't make sense to me. Now, for the disappointing part of the night, the truly disappointing part of the night. If you're going to finish a main story, you finish it at Mania. That's how it's always been forever, as long as I can remember. I've been watching wrestling, I think, with my dad since I was like 3, maybe younger. And it makes no sense to have Cody Rhodes after the way, not just the buildup. The buildup itself was good. At times, great, bordering on excellent. But you brought in Dusty's name. You built it to the point where you all but told everybody Cody's winning. Cody has to win here. This is it. This is the culmination of this story of his comeback, why you signed him. We're going to show everybody who is dissatisfied working in AEW why they should come here. We're not afraid to push you. Even though, really, he was a homegrown talent. He worked for WWE when he was getting started. There was no way it goes wrong if Cody wins here. And then you have Cody lose. You ruined it. This reeks of Vince McMahon. It really does. It reeks of him being back in control and telling everybody your decisions, what you want to do does not matter. My way or no way. And I understand it's Vince's company. You're not going to get an argument from me. But after the last year of Triple H doing everything he can to rebuild people's confidence in WWE, doing the right thing, making good decisions on storylines, ruined in one night, especially in one decision. Now, I have a lot of respect for Roman Reigns, a lot of respect for the Usos, even Solo Sikoa. That man has a real bright future. Paul Heyman, nothing but respect for him. Roman needed to lose this. This needed to be the time. What is essentially a 3-year run as champ with 2, WrestleMania wins. He's looked great. He hasn't been pinned in 4 years. I think December 2019 was the last time he was pinned. He's only lost less. I think he's lost to less than a handful of times, and it's all been by disqualification. And he's always looked good, whether he wins or loses. This was the time. If you take that title and put it on Cody in 5 months at SummerSlam, it makes less sense than it makes for this to be the win. The match itself was great. I didn't like all the interference. I like clean matches, especially to end a storyline. The Usos come in. You knew that was going to happen. Sami Zayn and KO come in. You knew that was going to happen. Sami Zayn and KO get the Usos out of the ring. KO hits a stunner on Roman Reigns. Roman stumbles back to the corner. And in probably the most cathartic piece of poetry that the audience has ever been a part of, Sami Zayn hits Roman with a haluva kick, and you think right there, there's the end, because that's the perfect way to end it. The guy that started, the end of the bloodline is helping finish it. And then you could have the three of them stand triumphant at the end. And then you could have the bloodline move into more of a face role. And you might even be able to transition the three of those guys, KO, Sami Zayn, and Cody, into heel roles and get more life out of this. But you didn't. You decided Solo comes back, hits a Samoan spike, followed by what, in my opinion, is the third best, maybe fourth best spear that anyone in the history of wrestling has thrown as a finisher, and pin Cody, sending the crowd home extraordinarily disappointed. I'm sorry, but this was the wrong call. You can disagree with me and argue it with me all you want. I apologize, but you'll never change my mind here. This was the wrong call. If you take away anything from WrestleMania this year, it's simply this: when they have the chance to get it right, and knowing that it's going to be right, they're going to make the wrong decision, and that's sad. But all in all, it was a fun weekend. I enjoyed watching both shows. I'm going to try and talk about Monday Night Raw because a lot's happened since WrestleMania, and hopefully I'll be back pretty soon with another video. But until then, all you beautiful people, you take care. Have a blessed day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace out.